This weekend, the Bates family didn't slow down, and if anything, the updates felt more layered than usual. At first glance, it's just another set of posts spread across a few days, but when you put everything together, it starts to feel like a full snapshot of where each of them is right now. Before getting into what happened over the past few days, it helps to look at where things have been. Ever since Bringing Up Bates ended, the family has shifted into a different kind of rhythm. There's no longer a single storyline guiding everything. Instead, each sibling is building their own space, sharing pieces of their lives in real time. And over the past year especially, that's meant a mix of quiet moments, big announcements, and everything in between. That mix is exactly what stood out this weekend, starting with Warden Bates. His update didn't just catch attention, it held it longer than expected, mostly because of how understated it was. A simple post, a short caption, and a few photos from Charleston, but the meaning behind it was immediately clear. This wasn't just another travel update. Standing beside Cabri Patterson, the focus naturally shifted away from the setting and toward what this moment represented. Without directly explaining it, the post confirmed something people had been quietly wondering about, and it did so in a way that felt controlled but still personal. What makes it even more noticeable is how different this felt from his usual presence online. Warden has never been the most expressive when it comes to sharing his personal life, so moments like this don't come often. That's part of why it lands differently. The photos themselves are relaxed, coordinated, but not overly styled, and that balance makes them easier to believe. It doesn't feel like a big reveal, even though that's exactly what it is. It feels more like something he chose to share when he was ready, rather than something built for attention. There's also context that quietly adds weight to this update. Not long ago, he was associated with a different relationship that came to an end without much explanation. Because of that, this moment doesn't exist on its own. It feels like a continuation of something people were already aware of. It shows movement, even if it isn't directly addressed. And for those who follow closely, that kind of shift is enough to keep the conversation going. Once the post went live, the reaction followed quickly, but it didn't all move in the same direction. Family members responded first, leaving supportive comments that reinforced the moment, almost like a quiet confirmation. From there, fans stepped in with a mix of reactions. Some focused on how natural the couple looked, others trying to figure out how serious things might be, and a few simply reacting to the fact that Warden chose to share anything at all. That mix of curiosity and approval is what kept the post circulating longer than a typical update. From there, the tone shifts in a noticeable way. The energy moves away from something more public and attention-grabbing into something quieter and more reflective. Over the past few days, Michael Bates' Kylie has been sharing a completely different kind of update. Instead of announcements or visible changes, her posts focus on the arrival of spring, flowers in bloom, soft light, and small details that most people would scroll past without noticing. There's a consistency in how she presents these moments that feels intentional without being forced. She doesn't try to match the pace of everything else happening around her. Instead, she stays within her own rhythm, sharing what feels real to her without trying to shape it into something bigger. Her photos, often described by followers as frame-worthy, reflect a level of care that suggests she's paying attention to the details most people overlook. Alongside those images, she shares parts of her weekend that continue that same tone. Attending church with Brandon, spending time with family, watching her brothers play football, and visiting the zoo. One small moment that stood out to viewers was her reaction to a baby gorilla. Something simple, but the way she shared it made it feel more meaningful than expected. It's not about the scale of the moment, but about how it's experienced and remembered. That approach creates a different kind of connection with her audience. While some updates rely on bigger moments to hold attention, hers works because it doesn't. It stays grounded in routine, in observation, and in a kind of quiet appreciation for everyday life. And in a space where everything tends to move quickly, that slower pace becomes part of what keeps people engaged. Then the energy shifts again, this time toward something more active and structured through Zach Bates and Whitney. Their updates over the past several days bring in a different perspective, one that blends business, family life, and routine into a single flow. As the oldest sibling, Zach naturally carries a different role within the family, and that shows in how his content is presented. A major part of that comes from the Bates Sisters boutique, which continues to grow and remain central to their day-to-day life. It's not treated as something separate from everything else, but something that runs alongside it. You can see how it fits into their routine, creating a balance between work and home that feels consistent rather than forced or staged. At the same time, Whitney keeps the personal side visible. Her updates highlight everyday moments, morning routines, time with the kids, and small interactions that don't seem significant on their own but build over time. There's a sense that their content isn't trying to create standout moments, but instead document what's already there in a way that feels steady. There's also a subtle shift in how their home is positioned within the larger family dynamic. Over time, it has become a kind of central point for gatherings and shared moments. Whether it's hosting, spending time with siblings, or managing a full household, their updates reflect a rhythm that feels stable, even when everything else around it changes. When you step back and look at everything together, the contrast becomes even clearer. Warden's update introduces something new and slightly unexpected, drawing immediate attention. Michael's content slows everything down, focusing on detail and stillness. Zach and Whitney's updates keep things grounded in routine and consistency. None of these perspectives overlap directly, but together, they form a more complete picture. And maybe that's where the biggest shift has happened. There's no longer a single version of the Bates family being presented. Instead, there are multiple narratives happening at once, each one moving at its own pace and carrying its own tone. Some moments are louder, others are quieter, but all of them contribute to the same sense of continuity that keeps people watching. So now it comes back to you. Out of everything that happened this weekend, what stood out the most? Are you more interested in Warden's new relationship, Michael's quieter updates, or the everyday moments from Zach and Whitney's side? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates like this.